Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hello, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 26, The Adversary. The crew rush to track down a changeling saboteur who is forcing the Defiant to initiate a war between the Federation and a rival power. And this is the Season 3 finale.
And we are led by Captain Sisko.
Yep. All his career needed was a beard.
That's all it took. That was the last check mark for his prerequisites to become a captain.
Something just struck me. It would be very sad for him if it was the changeling admiral that told him he got promoted.
Aww.
He would probably have a little cry about that.
And then refuse to take off the uniform.
He definitely told me I was a captain.
So why is that important that he's a captain? I get that it's a higher rank, but so what? What responsibilities does he have now that are different?
You tell me. I have no idea.
Oh, okay. So, none.
I think it's the highest rank before Admiral, so he can do the same stuff he could do before.
Maybe it's a huge bump in pay. It has to be.
They don't get paid.
Wait, they don't care about pay.
Yeah, they don't have money.
And he has the same job, so I don't get it.
His neck is now weighed down by an additional pip.
I did like the fake out in the beginning of the episode where he says, "This is my final commander log." And you think, what? Well, you know he can't leave the station, but then you wonder what they will do.
Well, last episode of the season is a very risky time for characters. That's the perfect time to kill off people.
Yeah, it's a great time to shake up things, and I love that they had that ruse. And there was another one that I liked a lot. When they're trying to figure out who the saboteur is, you see Eddington reach for his taser, or reach for his phaser, and you think, oh, not this guy again. He's the guy that's causing trouble, and then it's a fake out. So it's great that the writers, it's a little nod. Hey, we know you think we're hack enough to make this guy the villain again, but we're not doing that.
Yeah, it seems like they can't resist having someone looking guilty, so they played it against your expectations, which is good.
They were more subtle than usual during the blood vial scene with Bashir. The camera kind of lingers, and you see that he has 2 vials in his hand, and that, okay, so he probably switched them. But it's more subtle than they usually are, and they don't hang on to that reveal. You find out the very next scene, oh, Bashir is the changeling.
Yeah, it was subtle enough that you don't pick up on it. The Eddington usage of Eddington as a decoy really held that together. They spent most of this episode getting their taints rearranged by a single changeling.
Yes.
It's pretty exciting. I thought so anyway. Very, very tense, very exciting. I always like when they start self-destructing things, even though it never happens. It just makes it more exciting if there's a clock ticking down from 10 minutes to 7 minutes almost instantly.
It raises the stakes significantly. I really liked this episode a whole bunch. It is very strikingly similar to The Thing in that there's an intruder who can resemble anyone and they have to figure it out. And that blood scene I mentioned just a bit ago, there's a similar scene in the movie where they test the blood and it's very tense
Very
Good
tense
stuff.
is a euphemism. The thing is tense to the point of claustrophobia.
Yeah, it's stifling and everyone's moving slowly. No one wants to make sudden movements. We know the person, the villain, is in there, but who is it?
It's such a good idea, and they basically lifted that entire scene for this twice, because they did it first time with scans as well, which is great. I could just sit and watch that sort of stuff all day.
It's a fabulous gimmick to steal because they're all on this spaceship. They're isolated. There's an intruder. Changeling can look like anyone. It was a great idea, and they executed it really well.
So you had two big predictions for this episode. One was fire.
Which there kind of was.
Was there? Oh, come on, you can't just say a trial by fire is any difficult, trying time.
Oh, no, I was... So the modified phaser beams, their blasts look like bursts of fire to me. In the design of the phaser beams, they kind of look like flamethrowers.
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, in terms of interpreting Bajoran prophecy, yeah, sure, whatever. If it's got the same number, then you're probably good. But I would say you were wrong on that front. However,
Sadly.
well, boo-hoo. But you pointed out a repeated line, no changeling has ever harmed another, where harm means kill.
Yeah, only. And I guess premeditation doesn't count because that other changeling set up a situation where Odo was going to die.
Well, presumably he could have beamed Odo off.
Yeah, that's what he wanted to do.
But even then, that would constitute harm, killing someone's entire social structure, murdering everyone they know, and leaving them alone with the person who did it.
Nope, harm only means murder.
Okay.
Direct murder, indirect doesn't count.
Well, was this direct? Odo was acting in self-defense on behalf of 47 people.
So it still stands. No changeling has ever harmed another.
Well, I would say changelings seem to harm everyone around them all the time, but according to founder logic, who knows what it means. I don't have much in the way of criticisms for this episode. I felt it was a pretty solid show from start to finish.
I have to agree. I want to point out a scene I liked a lot, and that's, well, another scene I've already talked about, a scene I liked a lot. The auto-destruct sequence. So Cisco initiates it, and then it needs a confirmation, and then Kira walks over wordlessly and confirms the sequence without exchanging any sort of words with Cisco, because it's the only answer. There's no reason to argue or question his actions. This is what needs to be done, and I love that she went right to it.
Yeah, well, it's trading 47 lives for a war, so it's the right thing. But they always do the self-destruct with two senior officers confirming it.
Oh, okay.
It's strange that it's Kira, because she's actually not a member of Starfleet, so it's odd she has self-destruct rights for a Federation vessel.
Yeah.
But I guess Dax was knocked out, and she would be the second in command of Federation guys.
Yet another great episode where Dax is incapacitated during a good portion of it.
It was a good thing the changeling took out Dax and not O'Brien.
Yeah, how many times is it going to fall on O'Brien to save everyone's life?
O'Brien and Kira, they're the two people that they have to bring along on a mission where they absolutely want to survive.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I'm fairly confident O'Brien could have 1v1'd the changeling.
I would take that bet.
He's a solid guy.
They're all solids, except for the changelings.
Oh,
Grown.
I do have a criticism, though.
What is it?
They sent in this one changeling to get them to send a Defiant to start a war. It's odd that one guy can set this up. Well, we don't know. There might have been other changelings along the way helping him. But it's strange that the orders are not somehow digitally signed or secured, or they have some sort of cryptographic thing. It's odd that just the person turns up and says, "Hey, do it," and
Okay.
goes. I mean, it is an age-old military thing that orders have to have a seal or something more than just some guy said, "Do this." Okay, I'll do it.
Well, we saw in the previous episode how easily Starfleet exam was tampered with.
So you're saying Starfleet have massive security problems?
Yes, just like Deep Space Nine, which inherited all of those faulty instructions.
You're probably right. This is probably why they're riddled with changeling infiltrators. Like, I was there with Cisco at his promotion. All the command crew were there. He probably could have wiped them all out.
Easily. Their guards are down. No one would expect to be phasered.
Yeah, he could probably store a phaser inside himself.
Sneak it in inside a cake.
Yes, the traditional way. Cisco, you're being promoted, so as tradition, I brought you a cake. And then he reaches into the cake and just starts gunning everyone down.
Exactly.
Yeah, if they have security problems, they are in trouble.
With a threat like the Founders, who can very convincingly mimic anyone.
Oh, perfectly. So this was the finale of season 3. How do you feel season 3 went compared to, say, season 2 or any other seasons we may have seen?
I like that you didn't even want to name the worst season.
Well, I've already forgotten about it again.
Well, season 2 was a huge improvement on what came before, and again, season 3 is a huge improvement on what came before. There is still a lot of room for improvement. We've talked about before how they'll have these good ideas and good scenes trapped inside these less than good framing devices. And so I hope they figure out those details and have a smoother ride in season 4.
Speaking of season 4, what is your hope for the show going onwards? Obviously, things are heating up with the Gamma Quadrant. The Dominion are starting to really muck with everyone. The Romulans and the Cardassians have been screwed over by them, and it looks like the Federation are up for a bit of tomfoolery. What do you want to see?
I want to see changelings and founders causing more trouble, because they can cause a lot of trouble if they want to.
Oh, so you got it in for the Federation?
Yeah.
Fair enough, that would be good to see. Why should they have an easy ride?
How was it rewatching season 3?
I think this is the first season where the episodes are generally good. Season 1 was such a... It's a kind of waste of time, to be honest. It's got a couple good episodes and the rest is largely forgettable. Season 2 is better, but season 3 is where, on average, I'm probably going to enjoy the episodes.
The consistency is so much higher in season 3.
Yeah, it's broken that kind of crucial 50% hit rate. I would say at least half the episodes of season 3 I thought were good and worth watching. So it's where the show is hitting its stride. I think if it hadn't, then it would really be suffering by now. Who was your MVP of the season?
Cisco by miles. We made fun of him a lot in the earlier seasons, but he's much better now. He has greater range in approximating human behavior, and he had a lot of good episodes in this season. I'll go ahead and say my favorite one. Not necessarily the one I think is the best of the season, but it's a good example of great filler, and that's Through the Looking Glass, and that was a showcase for Cisco. It doesn't always have to be huge stakes to be a good episode. I almost picked this episode as my favorite, but I thought that would be cheating, and plus I might be suffering from recency bias. But this episode was really good, and it helps with my MVP pick as well.
Oh yeah, this is a top-notch episode. This is one of the really memorable ones.
Okay, so switch it. This is my favorite one.
Oh, okay.
So, what about you? Who is your MVP, and what's your favorite episode?
If I had to pick a favorite, I would probably pick Civil Defense because it was just fun. It was one long, stupid action sequence. Everything kept getting more and more over the top, and I like that sort of thing. If I had to pick an MVP, I might be really nice and pick Barile. Just because he's dead now, and we've been mean to him. And he really came through in the episode Life Support in a way that I know you didn't expect, and when I first watched it, I know I did not expect. And if I didn't pick him, I would probably just pick O'Brien or Garrick as usual, because I have very little imagination.
Well, by default, I think O'Brien always wins.
Oh yeah, O'Brien always wins. Wait, MVPs or just in general? Because I was talking in general.
Oh, in general.
Who do you think is the least valuable?
As much as I like her, it probably Dax.
I would have probably picked the same. They actually got some Dax episodes that were good, but that's not a big improvement on season 2, where we had Blood Oath, which was a good Dax-related episode, so she kind of plateaued a bit in this season, but she needs to improve, not stop here. She needs more. She's still... Oh, get it together. I wouldn't say Dax is a bad character. She just needs to be more awesome.
Right, I don't think she's bad either. But there's so much potential there that's being left untouched.
Moving on, do you have a quote from this episode?
You're too late. We're everywhere.
Yeah, that wiped the smile off Cisco's face.
Not many things can. But an undetectable threat is, I guess that'll do it.
What, so you're saying the Federation being lousy with infiltrators intent on destroying their way of life might put a chip in his mood?
Yeah, finally. If you want to disturb the calm of Captain Cisco, you have to let him know that the Federation has been infiltrated.
That his life and future is in ruins.
And that he needs to be paranoid about everyone.
Well, now he has the added responsibility of being a captain that's going to only exacerbate that problem. I think that quote does sum up the season pretty well as well. They've been mucking about a lot. They found this wormhole, and they were unprepared for what they might find on the other side. And they've spent 3 years basically mucking about, and they've known for over a year that there's something pretty sinister, and they've done nothing.
Yeah. taking the least bit of precautions, throwing caution to the wind.
Nobody is safe. Everyone is a suspect. Apart from Eddington, that guy is clearly 100% legit.
Even when he's innocent, he looks guilty.
Yeah, he just suffers from guilty resting face.
Not a good face for a guy who has ambitions to be a captain.
And works in security. Well, there's not much to say about this episode. It was a good episode, so that always kind of stifles discussion, and by discussion I mean pedantic muckslinging. So I guess we just need to get on to season 4 and see what awaits for our heroes in the next season.
My obvious guess is that O'Brien saves the day multiple times.
Think O'Brien's going to have a bad day for at least one episode?
There's no way he won't.
What's the worst thing you could think that would happen to O'Brien?
So much has happened to him that I think is awful already. It's hard to imagine what else they could do to him.
Yeah, I couldn't have imagined some of the stuff that's already happened. Yeah, dying and being replaced from an alternate timeline. I wouldn't have come up with that.
That's so dark.
I know, it's odd that he's not constantly... Well, he's always looking over his shoulders now, so maybe it has profoundly messed with him.
He even criticized himself for being jumpy in this episode. And you think, O'Brien, you can allow yourself to be slightly jumpy after all that's happened to you.
Yes, you have been through so much bad stuff, it would be weird if you weren't jumpy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Let's get stuck into season 4.
Sounds good.